Thank you, Vanessa. Appreciate you. So I just want to take a minute to chit chat while Shauna Lynn's logging back on. I want to take a minute to thank you all for joining me. Normally we have a PowerPoint presentation with questions, but nobody entered any questions in for this particular week. So what we're going to do is we're going to switch gears for a little bit. So Shauna Lynn, once she jumps back on, we'll talk a little bit about just what it's like to be new in the industry and some basic things. Oh, there she is. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I could hear you fine when you said that I was frozen. I didn't realize I was frozen. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you were frozen on my end. You know what this has happened? They just revamped. This is a very new launch of the new software for Webinar Jam. Okay. And so far, not impressed. Every webinar, I've had to hit that panic button and to reboot. I was just letting everybody know that unfortunately, nobody submitted questions through the type of question system on the Google form. So what you and I are going to do is we're going to open it up to have anybody, you've got a question, anything goes today. You've got two people that are willing to sit here and chit chat for the next hour, and we will answer all of your questions personally. And there's not a huge number of people on today. It's climbing, but there's not like there's hundreds. So that means that we can really get to the nitty gritty and get some questions answered. So go ahead and start typing in that chat box. Just start spitting out those questions, and we will see them run, and we will take them one at a time. Usually what we do is I give a little feedback. Shauna Lynn gives a little feedback. We discuss a little bit. Sometimes Shauna Lynn might cover it perfectly. I might say, nailed it, got nothing to add, or vice versa. So it's a little bit of everything. And then some things if we can throw in and think it might be helpful for you in your business, we're absolutely going to talk about that. I will say that just to start out, let me ask in the chat box, I'll ask the question so it's a great question so they get the right answers. I want to know about everybody on their training. Has everybody taken training? So if you've taken training, say yes. If you haven't taken training, say no. And that way it kind of gauges. It helps us
that way we know the level.
Where everybody's at.
Yeah, exactly.
And then also tell us how many years you've been in business as well, because that helps us gauge the level of where everybody's at and will help us form our answers so they're a little bit more structured to where you are in your business. So I know one of the things, yes. Susan Frost saw me speak at Triple Play in 2019, have not taken training. Well, welcome, Susan. That was
awesome.
a great night. I loved that night. We had a good, that was a good talk.
I always love when Shel speaks. I keep telling Shel she needs to use the hashtag when she speaks of Shel shocked, because I feel like every time she speaks, she Shel shocks me in some way. So I feel like hashtag Shel shocked needs to be her hashtag. What do you guys think?
I can start using it. I'm telling you. It's Carol, 9 years, not a newbie, but welcome anyway.
Oh, wow. Welcome, yes.
For you, happy to do it. Jenny's in 2, Lydia's at 3. So we're going to have a wide range of people. 15 years in real estate, did a lot of free staging work for the sellers, and we're going to hopefully make sure that Elena never does anything for free ever, as long as she's still
doing the same thing.
No point. Nothing free in the world. Nothing. So we both agree, Shauna Lynn, that obviously education is the foundation to any great business. Yes. Can I expand on that though a little bit? Yeah,
because and I just did a webinar on this yesterday talking about restarting with, the reopening of the economy. And so people that are in business but are having to do a bit of a reboot, so to speak. We're kind of doing some relaunching and restarting. And the biggest thing, it's not just about getting training. It's about entering the field with a plan. Like you have to. So what do you want to do with that training? First of all, do you want to run your own business or do you want to work for someone else? And if you want to run your own business, then having a solid plan to back that. And the only way you can create a plan to know where you're going is to have a solid starting point, because otherwise you're just winging it. And I can tell you that I work with people that have been 5+ years in the business, and they get to that point, things are exploding, things are taking off. But then they're like, oh my gosh, everything is just a chaotic mess. They don't have a system for anything. They don't have a solid marketing plan. Their brand is inconsistent and they're spinning their wheels and it's not sustainable. If you want to be sustainable and profitable, you need that solid foundation that starts with the training, but doesn't stop there.
Absolutely. A plan is crucial. It's so funny you mentioned this. I'm laughing because the other night I did started to do a tutorial on how to make a DIY hay feeder for horses. And the first thing I said was, first thing you need is you need a plan. And then I'm going to tell you what happens when you don't have a plan, because I came into this and didn't have a plan, and I'm going to include that in my next thing about business and having a plan. So it's you need a plan, you need a backup plan, you need to be able to pivot, you need to be able to be open to change or to looking at things from a new perspective.
110%, yes.
You know, even tonight, just somebody 10 minutes ago, I was discussing through email through somebody that I contracted to do some work for RESA. And I said, is there a reason why you went in that direction? And she told me, and I was like, never would have thought of that. Thank you so much. So you have to kind of be open to the new ideas and to be able to, like I said, pivot, especially in today's day and age as well.
Well, I think if there's one thing that the, current events have taught us is that we can never know everything. So you need to always be open to learning. So to your point, Shel, what you were just talking about, like you have to be able to ask the questions instead of just assuming that you have the answers. Ask someone the question of, well, why did you decide to do it that way? Because I'll admit that it's a trap that I fall into sometimes. And I'm sure, Shel, you do as well with all my years in business, not just specific to home staging, but business in general. I do a lot of coaching, and I've had to train myself to remember to ask questions and listen sometimes. Sometimes it comes completely naturally to me, but there's other times where I think I have the answer, but then I have to stop myself and say, you need to ask the question first of how this person got here before you just provide all the answers. And the answers might still end up being the same, but you have to ask those questions. So it's the same thing. You have to ask those questions of yourself. You have to ask those questions of others around you. You might see things that are going on. You're like, oh, that looks kind of cool. I want to do that. But don't assume that just because someone else is doing something, you have to do it. You have to find your own path.
You do. And there's so many niches within staging. So there's so many people that want to do occupieds and they want to do tickets. So some people do both.
Right.
Most people, I think, kind of gravitate towards one or the other. There are definitely some people out there that only do the vacants that don't even want to do the occupied. So having that plan, getting your foundation, having the plan, figuring out what you want your business to be like is crucial in order to create that map. So I always suggest people say, 10 years from now, what do you want that business to look like? And you write that down. And then from that, you build your strategy backwards. You don't build it forward. So I think that's a lot of things that, people don't necessarily realize when they really think very linear in their thoughts. Okay, first I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do that. Well, yeah, for lots of things in structure of your business, you do need to do it that way. But then you also need to go in reverse. So you think about your brand, the clients that you want to have. Do you want a warehouse? Do you want trucks? I mean, I'm telling you, absolutely visualize what you want that business to be, and sky's the limit. Anything it is that you want. It could be, 15 locations if that's what you want, and build your plan backwards. And then when you implement, you move forward through it.
Well, and think about building a house. When you decide you're going to build a house, you start with what you want the house to look like overall, usually on the outside before you go to the inside. Then you figure out what the individual rooms on the inside are going to look like. Then you got to break that down even further to figuring out what materials you're going to use in those rooms, all the way till you get to that very first board being laid. Right. Yeah. So you have to work it backwards and then build that foundation one step at a time to get to the top of it. So,
look, some questions are coming in. So Cheryl wants to know if we're going to discuss the changes in COVID-19. Cheryl, we do have a series. This series we're doing a COVID-19 special series. Yesterday we did week 7. So the webinar, the replay of that is going out if you want it specifically all about that. This is the newbie webinar, but we're happy to discuss it. So if you have a specific question about COVID-19 and business, please type it in the chat box. We're happy to answer any questions. In a nutshell, I'm going to break it down for you because it's super quick. There's a virus out there, people. If you haven't heard. Depending on where you are located is going to depend how it is that you need to pivot in your particular business. So what we've done at RESA is we have put together a little synopsis of the different shelter in place orders throughout the different states because they all were doing a little bit differently. Since we've put that out, everybody's probably changed it a couple times just in the 3 weeks that we've been doing that. So we encourage you to look to your local state, your governor's website to be able to see, or your provincial websites. What do they call them there, Shauna, Lynn, in Canada?
We call them, yeah, there's provincial websites, yeah.
Provincial government websites.
Yeah.
They will have what the orders are and what it is that you can and you cannot do. So we had the RESA legal team put together an addendum to staging contracts about COVID-19 that is in Mora, the members only resource area. So you can log in and you can add that into your contract as well. Make sure you read it and you understand it and it's fitting for what it is that you're doing, but we think it's pretty great. So we've given that. So that's considerations. You also want to think about health and safety, Osha practices for your business and your employees. Anybody that you've got working with you, you need to make sure that they are covered, that you are doing everything it is that your state or province tells you that you need to do with the minimum basic functions, with masks, with sanitation. All of that stuff needs to be considered in what it is that you're doing. And other than that, many states and areas are getting back to work. Some people are still doing the remote consultations. How's it in your neck of the woods, Shauna Lynn?
So as of right now, home stagers are not authorized to return to work yet. So we're definitely still doing remote consultations. But on that note, I will say that myself personally, with my home staging business, we have made a decision to reopen slowly. So even when we are given the green light, we will continue with remote consultations. We will offer only contactless in-person services. So what I mean by that is we're going to be dropping off rental items that people can install in their homes, or we will do vacant staging limited to our own team. So contactless with actual clients. And that's just a policy I've put in place for my team. That's not based on government. So, and this is the thing I think that people need to understand about COVID-19. And I know we're not going to spend a ton of time on this, but you get to make the rules for what you are comfortable with within your business. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to. So don't let real estate agents don't dictate how you run your business. You dictate how you run your business. Going back to that whole having a plan, what does your brand stand for? And so I can tell you that my ideal client is a very socially responsible client. So because of that, they are those same clients who are respecting the fact that I have made these decisions to protect not only my team, but our community as well and our clients. So that works well. If that's not who your client is, then maybe you're going to have a different perspective on things. So you have to understand what your company stands for and who your client is in order to know exactly how you're going to handle things moving forward. But of course, make sure that you are within legal guidelines.
Yeah. So Jill is stating that she specializes in occupieds, and she used to put all of her accessories into homes, but she doesn't know if she should go back to it. She's done her first remote consultation and gave them instructions on what to buy and to add into it, like towels for master bedroom comforter, things like that. But she's circling back, wondering that she should not put it into her inventory system, and wants to know if that's viable.
I don't necessarily see an issue with continuing it on if you're comfortable with doing it. That said, like, you want to make sure that any items that are coming out of the houses right now because of COVID-19 are being quarantined and or cleaned, sanitized. So we're not actually doing as much cleaning and sanitizing because we're concerned about the effects that will have on our actual individual products. They could tarnish finishes, that kind of thing. So we are actually doing more of the quarantine method. We're still giving everything a courtesy wipe down like we normally do, but we're not going into heavy sanitization necessarily, and we're just making sure that it's quarantined for 72 hours. So that's the process that we're using. That said, in owner occupieds, we don't give them towels or bedding. So those are things that we never do anyways. And I know that you said you recommended buying new towels and master bed comforter, and I think that you would just continue on with that. But for the accessories themselves, I don't see any reason why you can't continue with it, unless of course you just don't want to. Again, that goes back to your comfort level. But
yeah, and a lot of stagers, it's not uncommon not to put soft goods into occupieds. Kids, dogs, smoke, eating that popcorn at night.
So just general messy. Yeah,
messy,
exactly.
Yeah. So I see nothing wrong with giving a purchase list to a client, having them pick it up, or paying to buy it and to install it. Do that as well.
And one of the services that we're offering right now is that we will actually do the online sourcing for our clients and say, like, here's the items you need. Send them the links and let them buy it. And they pay us for our time. We're not making any markup on it because we don't want to manage the actual delivery of the products with everything going on. We don't want to be responsible. Yeah. You might want to add, you could do the purchasing on their behalf if you want to manage that. Just obviously add your markup to it. But in our case, we're just literally just doing the sourcing and send them links, but that way they're buying the right items. So there's lots of ways that you can provide support to your clients and make sure they continue to feel supported, even if you're not able to physically go into their house. Yeah.
For sure. So keep those questions coming. Just go ahead and type them into that chat box. Felicia has put some information about COVID-19 for everybody. So if you look in your chat box, you'll find links to different information that we've been able to put out and to curate for you. So you can check in on that. So some other struggles that new stagers have is finding the right clients or finding any client, just not even one client, not even being able to get your first deal. So here's some things, and that people just, I'm super direct. So I appreciate you allowing me to be super direct. One of those things, sometimes if you've been doing this for a long time and you can't close one deal, you can't get one client, you're out there and you're in front of people, there's something not correct in what you're doing. So you really need to look at your entire process honestly. And if you're unable to do it, if you're sitting there racking your brains, you're like, I have no idea what the problem is, then you've got to get a business coach who's willing to tell you the truth.
Yes.
So that means that you're going to have to get your tough skin on and have a business coach be able to look at your website. That's the first thing that I find with new people is they don't realize how awful their website is. And they're so proud of them. They're like, oh, I did Square and it's so good, or Squarespace, or
Squarespace, Wix, Weebly, yeah.
And they're like, it's so great. And I pull them up and I'm like, oh my gosh, no. Oh, I need to help you. So you have to be willing to hear it, and that somebody's going to tell you kindly, which I always am when I tell people. But I am direct about it. And it's like, it doesn't do me any good as a business coach to pussyfoot around it, so to speak. I just have to be direct and hope that people can receive it with the spirit that it's given. And I'm trying to help you. So it's one of those things, your website, the quality of the work that you're actually doing. Are the pictures on your website professional photos? If they're not, well, of course, this always happen. If they're not professional photos, what type of impression do you think that gives to somebody? So imagine this in reverse. If you went somewhere and you went to any type of business out there and they just had iPhone photos on their website for something they were doing where they needed to be professional, you need to look at them. You want to look like a professional. How does that look like to those potential clients? So that's the number one mistake that I find stagers make, is they don't use pro photography on their website. The copy's not great. A lot of times if you put your prices on your website up front, you get the tire kickers will come and look, and then they make a preconceived notion whether it is they have determined whether or not your service is something that they can afford, and not understanding the value that you bring to the table. If you don't have your prices on your website, then people have to call you. When they call you, now you get to practice your sales pitch. You get to use different languages. You should be absolutely tracking in a spreadsheet how many calls that you get, how many times do you close a deal? Because then you want to be able to set your goals so you can say, you'll know it's a numbers game. It's sales. For every 10 phone calls I get, I book one job. And then you want to try to get that goal in your sales pitch down better. So then you get to 2, and then you raise that goal to 3. And then you'll be able to tell, on average, if I talk to 10 people, I usually book about half my jobs. So you just want to keep raising that bar. But you've got to get the practice of doing it. And also when you talk to people, you get to test the temperature. You're hearing what people are saying because you're having the opportunity to be able to speak to them. What other common things when you're getting going, if you're not able to close the deal, would you say could be the problem?
Words have meaning, and you really have to know what your marketing message is. And I find that this often falls on deaf ears when I tell people you need to know what your marketing message is, and they don't even know what I'm talking about. Right. You need to know, what story are you telling? What are you representing? What is your message that you're trying to convey? So for example, the message that my company portrays is a professional, dedicated, team-oriented company. And how do we get that across? Not by telling everyone we're professional, we're dedicated, we're team-oriented, but by showing it. So our social media posts, for example, all express this. It's all very team-oriented. We have team awards. Everything that we do is very professional. We're showing listing photos of the things that we're doing, and we're not constantly selling. I think that's the other key too, is that if every other line on your website or on your social media is trying to sell something, you're not going to resonate with them. You have to identify their problem and solve it and answer the questions that they don't even know that they have. And so this is the thing, going back to what you were talking about with the website, Shel, 100%. That's always the biggest issue that I see. But here's the thing, before you can update that website, You need to know what that marketing message is, and hire a copywriter if you need to, but you need to know what problem you're solving. There's a radio commercial where I live that comes on. It's a local company that does windshield replacement. And they have this commercial that educates people, and I love this. And I'll admit, I can't necessarily tell you exactly what the windshield material is, but they come on and they say, did you know that there are 22 different types of windshield glass material? We only use this type, and here's why. And they explain what that type is, why they use it. So here's the thing. If I'm going to get my windshield replaced, I'm either going to A, go to that company, or B, go to another company and say, are you using this windshield glass? Because that's the only glass that I want for my windshield, because I've been told that's the best thing. All because of this commercial. In that commercial, sure, they're selling their services, but they're also educating me. So I spend a lot of time coming from a position of education as well, and that's how you're going to get those people in. One of the big things that I spend time educating clients on is how to choose a home stager. So I tell them, make sure if you're choosing a home stager that they have a registered business, that they are fully insured, that they are a member of the Real Estate Staging Association, and that they've been certified. And then there's all these other value adds that I can say that our company does, but those are the top things that I tell them to look for. Because here's the thing, real estate agents didn't even know that there's companies out there operating without a license because they can't.
Right.
So they don't understand that that's a possibility in our industry. So identify everything that contributes to your value. Your value is your training and your continuing training, your insurance, your registered business, like I said, but I'm sure there's other things. For example, in my company, we have a client care package that we send prior to our staging consultation. We offer staging risk management insurance. We have quality trades that we work with. We're award winning. All these things contribute to the value. Take some time and actually sit down and identify. And if you're not sure, ask your clients what makes you super awesome. Why did they hire you? And you'll be amazed at the answers that you get. But once you know that value, now you can make sure that those are the things that you're highlighting on your website. Not necessarily having to shout it out or put in a list. I do have a list on my website, but just showing it and living it. I think that's key.
I think that it's so brilliant, because a lot of new stagers are like, well, why am I going to tell them how to go hire a professional stager and they're going to hire somebody else? No, opposite. You're telling them everything it is that you are in that message. So everything correlates back to something that you are. Now, if you put a message on there and 5 out of 10 things you're not, that would be a problem. But you're not going to do that. You're going to focus on all of your accolades. And I think it's brilliant to be able to do it. And the other thing is conviction. New stagers have a lack of conviction. So even when I've done role playing and business coaching with new stagers, and I say, pitch me, and they're stumbling and they don't say it, the way they want to. And I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to make you nervous, but take a breath, start over. What would you say to somebody? And they're always try to be very scripted. And it's like, it doesn't come across as genuine. So when you are really talking to people and you're just speak with passion, speak with conviction, when you are at home and your spouse, it's at the end of the long day or whatever, and you're talking about your staging business, how excited you are about your pillows or whatever it is that you've done, and this new art piece you just acquired or something that you've done, and they're kind of tired of hearing it because you're always talking about how excited you are about your staging business. Their eyes roll in the back of their head. That's the way you pitch a client. That's what you want. Or you do it like at the McDonald's drive-thru. When I drive up at McDonald's drive-thru and I say I want 2 sausage McMuffins with no egg and a small coffee with 3 creams and 3 sugars, I know it is $2.76 every single time. And the gal at the window says it out loud, doesn't think anything of it. She knows she's going to get it. That's the attitude. It's like, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Either way, you're right. It's my favorite Henry Ford quote.
Yes.
And you've just got to speak with conviction and passion, and then everything else will fall into place. Because I know stagers that can be priced 40, 50% more higher than somebody else that's in on the same job, and they will get the job because of the way that they deliver the information and the way the other person doesn't deliver the information. So you always want to be conscious of that as well.
And that goes back to again, marketing message, but also your plan. You know what really helps with confidence is knowing exactly what you're doing.
What your plan is.
Yeah. All goes back to the plan.
Goes back to the plan.
Not sound like a broken record or anything. Yeah.
Yep. So Jill's asking, how do you wipe off faux plants? Washcloth, damp washcloth.
Yeah. I did see, I'll be honest, Todd McAllister had this awesome product that apparently, like, it's a spray thing that he bought online. I don't remember the name of it, but it actually apparently just sprayed on and it cleans it. But I've always just done a damp cloth. Yeah. I find if you're doing it frequently enough, like we try to do it every staging, essentially. If you're doing it frequently enough, it shouldn't build up to the point where you can't actually get it off. So, yeah.
The other thing that I like is, not that I use them, but the Swiffer dusters. To dust some of take them outside. It's a nice soft way to just be able to hit the leaves a little bit to get excess dust off. You can certainly do that and then use a damp cloth as well. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I agree. We use microfiber cloths for all of our cleaning, just because it does have that extra like Swiffer type quality where it takes everything off. Yeah. I think I saw, was there another question that was highlighted a little bit lower? I think I saw Orlando. Yes.
Oh, I missed that one. That's way down. So it's kind of a comment. I think I know what he's asking. He's wanting us to talk about if you're just starting out in the industry, decide you want to be a solopreneur, just you. Do you want just a little partnership with you and one other person, and about merging your talent? So a lot of this, the other thing, and thank you, Orlando, for this, because that made me remember that one of the other mistakes or situations, should I say, that a new stager can find themselves in, especially the one that can't close the sale. If you've been in business for any length of time and you haven't gotten one sale yet, you might not be a salesperson. Chances are pretty good. If it's been a year and you haven't closed one deal, you are not a salesperson. And that's one thing that I know that when I've gone to different events, over the last 17 years, and I ask people, who in here is a salesperson? And not one stager raises their hand. And I'm like, yeah, you are. Y'all salespeople. Sometimes it's a little painful, but if you find yourself in that situation where you're not able to close that sale and you can't get your first deal, then you might want to consider partnering, because staging, it's very right brain, left brain. So you've got the left brain, which is the very analytical part of the business. This is the sales. This is the marketing. This is the booking. This is the systems. This is all that. And then you've got the right side, which is the creative, which is the color, which is the furniture, the scale, the proportions, all of that information. And not very many people have both sides of the brain. So when you can partner with somebody who has that other side, that makes a really dynamic team. It makes your business go so much better if somebody else can be in charge of all of it. So if you're in love with staging, and that's what you want to do, go find a left brain person to pick up the other half of the business. They will have you so busy. Like with me, I always tell people, if I was going to join forces with somebody, I would be the sales and marketing, and I would have them so busy, they'd be begging for a vacation. But don't put me out to stage a house, because that does not bring me joy. But Shauna, Lynn, you have both sides of the brain, and you enjoy staging as well as building the business.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I do. But I have my team as well that can help me with executing a lot of it. So I end up taking on more of that sales type of approach, but all of my team is trained on some basic sales techniques. And one of our biggest sales technique is that we are passive salespeople. We do the soft sell. I'm big on the soft sell. And everyone's going to have their different sales techniques and what's going to work best for them. But if you are great at your job and you are confident, in all honesty, the soft sell works really well. And what I mean by that basically is we show them how we're the expert. So for example, let's use an occupied staging as an example. You do the consultation and now you want to sell them on you coming in to add some extra pieces to it. Well, when we're talking when we're doing occupied staging, we first of all tell them you can get your stuff wherever you want. You can borrow it, you can buy it, you can rent it from us. Doesn't matter to me, but you need it. And that's part of our key to the soft sell, is that we're not saying you have to rent from me. We're trying to explain to them that I don't care where you get it, but you have to get it. So we have to create the need. This is key to sales. You have to create the need. So now that the need is created, now we want them to hire us. So as we're going through the different things, we're talking about the awesome things that we're going to do and how we just know how to put it together. And like, if I see a bookcase, for example, my big thing is I love shelf styling. That is my jam. I could shelf style all day. It's my jam. So if I see shelves, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love shelf styling. If I could get my hands on these shelves, let me tell you, it could work some magic. Listen, if you're going to do it yourself, here's just a few tips. You're going to want to lay some books down, have some standing up, take probably about half of them off, mix in some accessories, add in some greenery. I'm going to give them some basic tips. I might even style like one shelf as a little sample. Do you think they're going to style those shelves themselves? No. They're going to hire me because I just showed them how awesome I'm going to be at it. Or maybe it's just a matter of they need a beautiful piece of artwork above the bed to really showcase, like, oh, you know what you need here? You need like golds and emeralds above this bed. Oh, it'd be beautiful. Oh, I got the perfect piece. It'd be great here. Oh, it'd be great. But listen, if you don't want to rent from me, that's fine, but this is what you're looking for. Well, now in their head, they're like, why would I get it anywhere else? You just told me you have the perfect piece. That's what I mean by soft sales, where they don't even know they're being sold to. So that's how I've trained my team to do it. So they don't need me to sell for them, but I'm always able to get in there. If things ever get a little sticky, I can easily just jump in and say, hey, let me help you out a little bit here, but yeah.
That's awesome. You know, what's so funny when you talk about Kathy loved shelving.
No way!
She did. That was her jam. That was totally her jam. In fact, when I put up some built-ins in my house in California, she designed my shelving by phone, where I put it here, and then she sent me what colors to go get, and then I went to the store, and then I'm in the different stores FaceTiming with her of all the different accessories. She was in Atlanta, I was in California. It worked out great.
That's amazing. But just going back to what Orlando was asking them about the partnership, and just further to what you were saying about the partnership, I think it's a great idea. A couple of suggestions though. You definitely want to make sure that you're going to jive well with this person, but you have to understand if you are partnering with someone who is the opposite of you, there's going to be a natural clash. You have to understand how to work through that. One of the things that I find is super useful, I actually just did one with one of my coaching clients today. It's called a Kolbe assessment, Kolbe assessment. And what that does is that actually tells you what your actions are, how you do things. So it can tell you, are you a person who needs to touch and feel things? Or are you a person who can just visualize in your head? Are you a person who likes to gather a bunch of details before making a decision? Or are you more of I'm just going to act on this? So the Kolbe assessment helps you to understand how you act. So if you had a consultation so you each get your Kolbe assessment and have a consultation with the Kolbe consultant with both of you, that will teach each of you how to work with each other, because it's going to identify things. The one that I did earlier today, the client that I was working with, she was astounded because as the consultant's going through things, she's like, oh my gosh, you're describing my husband. Yes, that's exactly him. That's so not me. So now she's getting tips for understanding that relationship better, and like why he can't just see things her way, because we have to understand everyone functions a little bit differently. So I do recommend going through that exercise, and a good consultant can tell you if they don't think that partnership's going to work too.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely. If they think that you're going to continually clash, they're going to give you tips for making it work, but you have to be able to decide, like, am I going to be able to make this work? And the Kolbe consultant can say, like, you can't bend on this level. You're not capable of bending. So this is always going to be a problem with this person where they can't bend. So
and
really good idea.
That even if you don't form an actual partnership, like a 50-50 ownership, you can hire out for the other job. Yeah. You can hire out if you're an analytical like me. If back in the day before I founded RESA, I had a staging business, and there was nobody for me to partner with. I couldn't find a creative to go out and do the staging, because I'd go out. I had so much business the first 60 days. I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And then I was like, oh, I gotta go stage. I didn't like it. So you can actually hire somebody to do it, but if you hire them to do it, even though you're in the company, you have to empower them to be able to make the decisions and trust that what they're going to do. You've got to give them let them have ownership of their own role. Yeah. Because if you get in and you're trying to micromanage, it's like, why are you micromanaging this person that you know nothing about their job and you couldn't do it on your own? So you really probably shouldn't have a whole lot of input in the area.
Exactly.
They're doing it. Okay, great. We've got some good questions coming in. So Nicole's asking what recommendations for advertising just starting out, where and budget and how. So great question, Nicole. So number one, I'm into networking, network volunteerism. That's what I kind of coined that term years ago, networking volunteerism. So what I recommend that people do is get involved. Get involved in a RESA chapter, get involved in your local association of realtors, get involved in your women's council of realtors if you have one, and then a builders association if you're going to do a lot of vacants. And if you were going to prioritize those, I would say RESA, local association, WCR, and then builder. Oh, I did put them in the right order. So if there's a budgetary, concern, that's what you want to do. But you want to go to meetings where real estate agents hang out. So a lot of them have marketing meetings once a week or once a month, or a caravan tour. Get on those. Join as an affiliate member. Get involved. A lot of them will have fundraisers throughout the year. Buy tickets. Go.
Attend the galas, attend the golf tournaments, attend every event those real estate agents are at. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so important. And, a lot of people, sometimes they'll go to these things and they say, oh, I went a couple times, it didn't work. Well, you have to infiltrate. There's an actual process that you have to go through. But what I will say, if it is a square peg round hole and you are not somebody that enjoys the networking aspect of doing these things, don't do it.
Right.
Because you will put off a vibe and everybody will know that's your vibe and that they're not going, you're not going to get anything out of it. So I mentioned my friend Kathy earlier. She was square peg round hole with the networking. And literally she told me, she's like, oh, I went for like 3 times. And I'm like, what do you mean 3 times? Did you join a committee? No. Did you get involved? No. Did you sell tickets for something? No. Did you go to an event? No. Well, of course not. They're not going to speak to you. But she was so great at everything else, and her website got the business that she needed. She didn't need to go and do that. So you need to kind of decide for yourself. So that's kind of what I'm into, is really getting out and meeting people. And it is a numbers game. And don't think you need 80 new clients for the year. If you have 80 new clients a year, it's likely they're only doing onesies with you and they're not calling you back for a second job. You need 5 to 10 amazing clients. Shauna, Lynn, what do you think about marketing? Where to go, where to start?
So first of all, yes, the term is marketing, not advertising. And the reason that I say this is advertising is more about paid ads. And I think that you want to utilize, when you're first starting out, you want to utilize as many low cost or free resources as possible. So your website is your number one marketing, because when people find you or hear about you, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to check out your website. You'll also want to make sure that your SEO, so search engine optimization, is optimized as best it can be. We do not have time for me to get into what all of that entails, but a lot of really easy things that you can do is simply making sure that you have the right keywords splattered all over your site, that you have some great links on your site, and that other things are linking to you. So one of the first things I did when I registered my business was I put it on every free directory I could find in my local area. There are tons of companies that offer free business listings. Check out your radio stations, check out your newspaper. They often do free digital website listings. Yellow Pages still has an online thing, whatever. So get yourself on every directory you possibly can. And then focus on your social media. Only take on as many social media accounts as you are comfortable doing. And it depends on where your audience is. The top 2, of course, are Facebook and Instagram. LinkedIn is also right up there as well. If you think you're working with mainly a younger clientele, don't even bother with Facebook. However, you definitely want to be on Instagram. I think that Facebook is a great platform for my clients. I know that most of my clients are still on Facebook, but we're seeing more and more coming through Instagram as well. I personally don't love Instagram, so if you need to hire it out, by all means, hire it out. But if you are going to spend any money on advertising, I would recommend Google Ads is the place to spend it. Don't spend it on Facebook ads. You will not be able to spend enough money to do any decent lead generation on Facebook. And even Google Ads, depending on your area, Google Ads, set up a consultation with the Google Ads specialist before you do your ads, because they will help walk you through it and they will help you to understand where it's worth spending money. But if you're having to spend a minimum bid, this is the terminology they use, a minimum bid of say like $3-4 for the most common search terms, it's going to cost you a lot of money to be able to get to that top ranking. So you have to rely on just organic search engine optimization. Getting reviews from your clients on Google is huge for boosting that as well. So I definitely recommend take advantage of every free resource that's out there. There's a little bit of hustle involved in it, but it helps, I promise.
And also making sure your website's on Google Business.
Yes. That's one of the first things I talk about with SEO. Yeah. You have to tell Google you exist.
You have to tell them you exist. So you want to do that. You want to, submit an XML file as well. If you're using a WordPress website, send that to them. But the Google businesses where, when you do a search on something and then you see, the first like 5 businesses come up where they give a map to directions, that's where you want to land in as well.
Yeah, they don't know that. They don't know that unless you tell them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where you want to be. That's what you want to do. So yeah, I agree, ditching the Facebook ads. If you're going to put money into anything, put it into your own website.
That too,
And so with your own website, you can grow organically and dominate the first page of Google. And when you do all the other free directories, those free directories also come up in the search engines as well. So you can easily dominate, especially if you don't live in a ginormous metropolitan area. It's real easy to dominate, but it's not super difficult in a large metropolitan area either if you do it well. And if you're putting the money into your own site, you're not paying other people.
Exactly.
So that's what I would recommend that you do. Jill also asked, where do you find somebody to partner with? Great question. Your RESA chapter, the training provider that you took training from, they might have somebody that is struggling with the opposite side of the brain, which your problem is. You can partner that way. Any one of the Facebook groups online that all the stagers are in, I'm sure you can also put some feelers out there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have one of my team members, Jennifer, she didn't want to do a full out partnership. She actually just wanted to have someone else run the business, and she wanted to become an employee. So she's my senior home stager. She's been with me 6 years. We met through RESA. We connected. I started hiring her for some small projects. So I would suggest doing that too, is bring them out on a project as a staging assistant and see how well you jive that way. That's a great way to kind of get to know them a little bit. Yeah.
So Jill's also asking, if you hire someone to do your social, do you have to tell them what to post? Depends on the person. So here at RESA, I don't have to tell Felicia fully anything. I tell her the goal, when I want it to happen, and I walk away, and she just does it. So ultimately, you definitely want to find somebody like that. But again, you have to empower them to be able to take control over your brand. So as long as your brand is communicated effectively and you have a firm understanding between the two of you, they should be able to do things. But on the same note, you're going to want to teach them about staging and stagers and how the business runs and all of that, but it's super easy to be able to pick up on. So you should, if they're already a social media person, they're going to know the gist of it. But in reality, when you post a new project, you're going to want to post that. So obviously they're going to have access to all that type of information. Statistics, any articles that you want to write, blogs. There's lots of information that you guys can put together and put out through social media. So I think it's a little bit of a combination, especially until you get them going, and they should be able to own that position if you let them.
I agree. The only note that I would add to that is just making sure that they understand what your voice is. Don't let them speak in a voice that doesn't feel authentic to you. So for example, we had a social media company at one time that every time they did a post, they kept saying, we just love how this room turned out. We just love using plants and staging. We just love baskets. I'm like, we don't love everything. Can you stop saying that we do? So and they actually did we just love the color of the year by Sherwin-Williams when it was crimson red. We did not love the color of the year. We still would have posted what the color of the year was, and we wouldn't have trashed it or anything, but we would have probably said, this would work best for perhaps an accent great exterior color. Instead, they just went on and said that we loved it. So you do want to make sure that you have some creative control over what they're posting, because they are representing you. And you can never, ever, 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 ever use the excuse, if you ever get into trouble for what your social media person did, you can never use the excuse, it wasn't me.
Let's talk about that for a second. So one of the what Shauna Lynn is alluding to at this point, there's a lot of new people in the industry that want to shortcut their marketing copy on their website. So they go to somebody else's website and copy it and then paste it on their website. In case anybody's wondering, our industry is like super small. You will get caught if you have done that, because any real experienced stager, they're also looking at their website and they're putting it through something called Copyskate. And they will be able to see if anywhere else on the internet is using the content that they wrote. So it's important to write your own narratives on that. Because if you plagiarize somebody else's words and it comes back to you, my website designer did it is not an acceptable excuse. You are responsible, period, the end. Even if that was true, you are responsible for checking the content on your own website. So it's super important. Nadia is asking what is, I think she meant Colby. That was the personality test that you can take to show how you communicate, how you receive information.
Yes. It's more of like a behavior type of test. And I actually saw that Felicia posted the link for it. So it's KOLBE.
So Elaine is asking, this is a great question, and thank you so much for asking this. If you do home staging using FaceTime or other visual apps, how do you charge the client in this case? Same as you would if it was in person, because they're paying for your expertise, not your travel time.
Also, when we're doing those remote consultations, we're asking for photos in advance. We're sometimes providing a little extra follow-up information. There's still a ton of work that goes into it, that there's no reason to discount if anything. We actually feel like they're getting a more thorough evaluation, and we feel we should be charging more. We're not, but we're certainly not charging less. Yeah,
absolutely. Oh, Grace Ann's got a great point. Thank you, Grace Ann. When you're doing a partnership, if you're going to go into business with somebody, please get it in writing. And I mean, invest in an attorney. This is the other thing, is that a lot of people get into the industry and they think for some reason, oh, it's just, just going to jump in. It's not going to cost you any money. Listen, you have to spend money in order to make money. Hiring legal counsel in order to make sure that your contract is the way it needs to be, and any agreements that you have for your partnership is where it needs to be. You need to think ahead. How are you going to handle problems? Kind of like a prenup. When you get married, prenup isn't there to rip each other off. It's there to decide in advance, while y'all still love each other, how you're going to treat each other when it falls apart. That's what it boils down to. And that's what a business arrangement contract is between you and your partner. It's just a way of how you're going to treat each other if you decide down the line you don't love each other anymore and you want to break up.
Well, and also, what happens if your company is going into the red? Who's responsible for topping up that money so that, bills get paid and such? So you want to make sure that, it's definitely cover your butt. CYA.
Absolutely. Jill's asking, are there job boards specifically for stagers? Jill, we did try a job board years ago at RESA. It just never works out right. So in the social media groups that we have, feel free to ask. So I don't know if you're wanting to post or if you're wanting to receive, but either way, you can put some feelers out on our social and see if anybody's interested in your particular area. Lots of people typically jump right in.
If you do happen to have a local RESA chapter, that's a great way for connecting with people to find out if someone's looking to team up. Even just if you're trying to get your feet wet by assisting someone, that's definitely a great way to do it. Yeah.
Okay, so great 2 more questions coming up, Shauna Lynn. How do you persuade a person to agree to pay money when it's not guaranteed that the house will be sold? I'll say it now, my disclaimer. I usually say sometimes when you ask a question, I'm going to pose it back to you in a way that'll make you think. I'm actually Tony Robbins' strategic intervention coach. Yep. So he does this. I'm going to pull a little Tony Robbins on you. And I'm saying this with most respect, but I want to make you think. If that is the question you're asking right now, we definitely need to get you into some training, because that is the forefront of the entire concept of the staging industry. There is never a guarantee, but what you can guarantee is the house is going to look and show better than it would be had they not staged it. You can never guarantee that there's going to be a result, and you don't need to. I don't know one stager that guarantees a sale ever.
No, I had a business coach when I first started out. I had a business coach that tried telling me I should offer a guarantee. Staging was very new in my area, and there was very few people doing it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. There's no way that I can do it. But here's a twist of what I've done that has worked really well for me. But it's also because I want to say, first of all, I'm in Canada. And so our sales of houses work a little bit differently. And then the other part of that is also that I own my own home staging inventory. So when I talk about the sales aspect, when a house sells, it's sold. So within a week, basically, so let's say I stage a house tomorrow. It's tomorrow, Friday. They have open houses on the weekend. Virtual open houses now, but you get the point. They get a bunch of offers in, sells on Monday. If there are no conditions to that offer, so it's not conditional on financing, home inspection, or any of that kind of stuff, it is sold. 100%, it is sold. I can go and get my stuff and move on. In the US, I know it's a little bit different. In most areas, you have to deal with escrow and appraisals and everything else. So when you stage a house, you are anticipating that it is sold through that appraisal process. So it could be a couple of months. So there may be ways that you can twist this, though, that works for you. So in our area, though, I could literally put stuff in a house and take it out the next day. So my staging rental terms are for 30 days or until the house sells. So if the house sells in a week, I get my stuff back in a week. But here's the caveat to it. If the house doesn't sell in 30 days, I'll give you another 30 days of rentals at no charge. I'm so confident that I've done my job. If I've done my job and it's listed with the real estate agent, it's priced appropriately, and you've done all the recommendations I've asked you to do, this house should sell. If it doesn't, I'll eat the next 30 days. So that's one way that I got around the guarantee. It's not to say that you have to give a guarantee. What I'm saying is there's ways of providing some assurances,
right,
and giving that confidence. The reason why I can confidently stand behind this, because I know I'm going to do a damn good job. I know, as to Shel's point, that house is going to show better, and that if everyone has done their job properly, the real estate agent, I do not do this for private listings because no one ever prices their house properly for private listings. Their showings are all wrong. Like, it just doesn't work in my opinion. But if I'm working with a real estate agent, they've done their job. Homeowner did the recommendations I asked them to implement. I came in and staged it. There's no reason why that house shouldn't sell right away.
Yep. And I think also, Nadia, is about, again, you've got to speak with conviction. So it's about closing that sale. So you're listing all the benefits of what it is that you bring to the table. And if you present them correctly, and you've spoken with conviction and with some passion, and they have a need and they trust you and you vibe with them, there's no reason that they shouldn't sign with you.
But it is a trust relationship, though. That's a really good word. Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, let's talk about trust.
Like, this is people's largest investment. Majority of the time, it is their largest investment. Now, there's obviously builders are a little less emotionally involved in it. You know, there's going to be some exceptions to that. But most of the time, you're dealing with resale homes. That is a huge deal for people. They got to trust you. You're coming into their personal space, and you're telling them everything's going to be wrong with their house. It's a very personal relationship. You've got to show compassion, but you've also got to show that you're a professional and that you're an expert, because they are not going to want to listen to you. They're not going to take you seriously, and they're not going to trust you. They have to trust you. And that trust builds. The best relationships you're ever going to have are with the real estate agents. I have heard several stagers that are like, can I just bypass the real estate agent and go directly to the homeowner? Sure, you can. It's not where you want to spend all of your time and energy, though. Majority of the time, you want those relationships with the real estate agent. If that real estate agent trusts you, then they will bring you in, and they are going to tell their clients, listen, trust me, I use this girl for everything. I shouldn't actually use the term girl. I apologize. I use this stager, because I know we've got lots of male stagers here. I use this stager for everything, and they're going to tell you exactly what you need to do. You're just going to need to listen to them. Trust me, it's going to be worth your while. I promise. It never fails, kind of thing. So they're giving that guarantee for you, and they're going to have your back on it. But if your real estate agent doesn't trust you, that's also going to come through.
Yep, for sure. So does RESA look at our contracts for free or at a discount? Let's talk about a couple words. Free and discount. So you get what you pay for. If you have, I'm trying to think of a really good analogy for this.
I have a whole blog called The Price of Free on my website.
Okay, so we will hopefully maybe get that. Go to Shauna Lynn's website. What's your website? And can you type it in, at least the website where they can find it?
I'll find the blog right now. You go talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll keep talking. So when you look at this is another thing I want business people to start understanding as well, is that if you as a business person, you don't want to be asked to discount your services or to give it away for free. You would, if every client asked you to do that, you are going to be very annoyed. But yet a lot of us as entrepreneurs are always asking that of other entrepreneurs and businesses. So I really want to help people get out of that mindset about asking for things for free. Because when I'm doing a business to business with somebody and I know that they're an entrepreneur, I don't ever ask for a discount. I just don't. It's a personal policy of mine. I know what it's like to be self-employed. And every time you discount your service as a stager, that is money out of your profit. You discount by 15 cents, that's 15 cents less out of your pocket. If you do it for 15,000, it's 15,000 out of your pocket. So you want to look at that. Now, to answer the actual question about the contracts, and the other thing is about if you get what you pay for. So think about it this way. For $190 a year in dues to have, if we were to be able to review a contract or anything like that, you're going to get what you pay for. There's no way that we could provide that service for as little money as we're charging you for your membership dues. So it's the same thing with anything in this industry. When you look and you're trying to buy two products and you're at Amazon and you see, this beautiful pair of jeans and they're $65. And then you say, oh, these look just the same. They look just about the same. And they're $2.50. I guarantee you they are not the same. They can't possibly be the same because you can't build the pants for less than $2.50 and have them be the same kind of quality as a $65 or a $165 pair of pants. So you don't get the same type of quality, but I am a little ingenious. So what we've done is we partnered with Villanova Insurance Partners, and they've been our insurance provider for the last, it used to be Penx, but for the last 12 years, 11 years, we've worked with Judy Forbes, and now she's with Villanova, and we developed a program called RESA Sure. And what this is a risk management program. So I believe Felicia posted, she did. We posted the website address. So Nicole, check that out, and anybody else, because if you want contracts reviewed through this particular program, this is very low cost. They also do insurance. So if you don't have insurance for your company, you need to get the insurance. They actually will give RESA members a reduced price. They're willing to do that because the volume that we do give them, they are the #1 insurance provider for stagers in the entire world. Judy Forbes has written more policies than anybody on the planet. I know that because she's been with RESA for so many years, and thousands and thousands and thousands of policies have been written. So check that out. Joe Denneler is the attorney, and it doesn't matter where you're located. They will look at your current contract, make some reviews, and they will also write a new contract for you if you need that. So check them out because they're really good at what they do. We're really excited about that program. New question. What if they spent money and it was not sold? Do you have mad customers? I'm a pretty new real estate agent and want to connect with a trusted stager in Jacksonville. Well, there's no guarantee. So that usually when a house doesn't sell, if it's staged correctly and it's priced correctly, it should sell. So if it doesn't, it's usually one of those two things that are out of whack in that particular scenario. Now, there's always exceptions to rules and whatnot. Something could have happened or whatever. You could have a flood. My house took months to sell in California when I had it listed, but it got my first offer in 7 days, but it had a flood. So everything was delayed.
Right.
It's one of those things that you've got to set the expectations up front and make sure that it is staged correctly, it's being marketed properly, and that it's priced correctly.
And I think, so going back to what Shel was talking about in terms of free and discount and whatnot, you do get what you pay for. So make sure that, the quality of stager that you are hiring reflects the quality of that house as well. So make sure that you are selecting a qualified home stager to sell it. And I think that's a great idea, or to stage it. And I think it's great that you're looking to team up with a stager in your area. I definitely recommend looking to RESA members first, of course, to see if there's anyone there that you can work with, and then get to know them. You have to sit down with them, get to know them, understand the process, because the more confident you are about how it all works, the more confident you can be about pitching it to your clients. So you're not going to have those worries that it's not going to sell. And then, as Shel says, if you are confident that you chose a great stager and the house isn't selling, then it is time to look at price. And I want to explain here that I am not a real estate agent, and I never actually talk specifically price. I can't tell you what you should price a house for. I would never even attempt to. You have the resources and you have the knowledge behind that. But to Shel's point, if it's not selling and it's a highly marketable product, the only thing that's keeping it from selling is the price. It could also be, though, the exposure. That is the only other thing that I can say. It's your marketing in general, that if you're not getting that house enough exposure, but with the number of resources, if you're located in the US, the number of resources that you have, we don't have them all in Canada, but you have your Zillow, your Redfin, that property is getting listed on so many websites that people are actively searching, that you don't necessarily have to do a ton of extra marketing to get that out there. But if it's not standing out against this competition, that's where the staging comes in. So.
And even priced correctly and staged correctly even trumps location. So even if you're in a bad location, if you stage it beautifully and it's priced right, it's going to sell.
Absolutely.
Hey, great! We've done some matchmaking.
Yay!
So Nicole and Nadia, one's an agent.
See,
one's a stager. They're both in Jacksonville.
It's a match made in heaven. Look at that.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Now, Brooksville, Florida, Jenny's looking for a partner with a left brain. So that's awesome. Love it. And great. Yes, Nicole was referring about the insurance. She's waiting for an insurance quote, so I'm sure she'll be able to get with Joe on the contract. This is awesome. This is so great. Oh my God, it's already 5:01. I love doing these with you. You know what? Normally, just so everybody knows, we collect questions up front. I put them in a PowerPoint. We put one question up at a time. So for us just to be able to wing it like this is our jam, man. Shauna Lynn's my vibe. So we always have such a great hour.
Yeah, Shel actually sent me a message before we got on here saying we didn't get any questions ahead of time. I'm like, meh, that's fine. I don't care.
We've done this before.
I'll wing it. Well, and here's the thing, though. Okay, let me just add this one last little tidbit. Here's why this is so easy for Shel and I, because this is what we do all day, every day. We are constantly helping and nurturing other stagers. For me, I've got my own team, as well as I do business coaching, and I train stagers through SLS Academy. Shel, I mean, I don't want to talk about the number of things that she does, but she's constantly connected with them. Let me just circle this back to you guys, though, because when you talked about that confidence in marketing and all that stuff, when you're doing something you love and you know really, really well, it's easy to do it. So don't be afraid of these off-the-cuff conversations. To Shel's point earlier, you don't necessarily need a scripted speech about who you are. Have a conversation. And here's some of the best conversations you have. If you have not read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People,
good one.
You got to read it. It's an oldie but a goodie, because one of the number one things is I will tell you that I have attended parties, and I'm a talker. Everyone knows I'm a talker, but I have attended parties where I've met someone and I end up just asking them a ton of questions all night, and I get them talking about what's going on because I can see they're excited about it. So I want to get them talking. And I genuinely want to learn more. They will tell me afterwards that it was the best conversation they've ever had, and they've never connected with someone like they connected with me, and I didn't tell them a damn thing about myself. So if you want to connect with people, ask them questions, learn about them, and make it about them. And then when it does come around to you, just talk about yourself from a passionate standpoint. Don't be scripted. Don't worry about trying to have all this flowery stuff. Just be you and talk about what you do and what you love, and it will come through.
Here's one word that I always like to describe you. Shauna Lynn and I were at an event many years ago, and we did this auction, and I think the artwork's behind you. It says authenticity. Authenticity. You must be authentic. And a lot of times when people come off too scripted, it comes off as very fake. Man, just be yourself. You like horses? I like horses. Talk about horses. Shauna Lynn, you like cats?
There might have been like 3 of them on here. You can actually still see Logan in the background there.
Any of them run past you? You know, usually, you got Lucas and Georgia, popping around up on her desk, and I talk about my horses, and this is how I connect to people. I have more people comment on my videos and things when I'm in the barn or the tack room or my pickup truck, giving little tidbits online to people because people identify with it. It's real. I'm not going to fake who I am. I'm not going to go out and put, a suit and a skirt with high heel shoes that I'm going to tip over with in 2 minutes if I try to walk across the floor and try to pull myself together and present that way. I don't. I go on stage and I wear cowboy boots.
Whenever I'm at the RESA convention or any event in person, I should say, obviously we will get back to all those in-person events, but anytime I meet people at these live events, I'm always astounded by the number of people that are like, you're just like your videos. Like, I don't know who you thought I was going to be, but I literally am the same person you see in my videos. I mean, Shel's known me for years now, and she's seen me both, on stage, so to speak, as well as off. And she'll tell you, I'm the same person, and you need to do the same thing. If you are trying to be anything but who you are, it will come through. And that means then that your marketing message is not aligning with you and your core values and your company's core values. And if you have that disconnect, you're not going to be able to make the sales.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. So we're at the end of our time, so I want to just talk very quickly. Thank you for joining us. Home Staging Industry Awards, there is still time to vote. If you were a RESA member and you were eligible at the time that we started this, you're going to log in with your email that you use on the RESA website, and you're going to go to RESA.Felicia, add this to the chat box. I don't remember where it is. Home Staging Industry Awards, I believe, will
awards platform. RESA.awardsplatform.
Awardsplatform.com. Log in with that. If you don't recall your password, just reset it, and you've got until June 8th at noon Pacific time in order to thank you, Felicia, in order to be able to cast your votes, and also in the home staging or the most influential people in real estate staging, cast your vote for some peers for that as well. You can vote for everybody, as many people as that you like. We love doing that to be able to highlight the professionals in our industry that so deserve our praise because they are massive influencers and they are do-gooders and trendsetters and affecting change in our industry, and we respect them so very much. The other thing, RESACon was usually in July, every July in Las Vegas at the beautiful M Resort, but unfortunately, if you haven't heard, there's a little nasty virus out there that just wrecked all my plans for the year. So we've had to switch gears and switch it into a virtual event. So you're still going to go to 2020.resaconvention.com. You can register. You can learn about all the different speakers. And Felicia's standing by, and she's going to play a quick little video for us right now that she put together about RESACon. I think it's about 25 seconds. So if you'd indulge us to stay on for just a second, Felicia's going to get that right up.
And while she's doing that, if I can just mention, so for anyone who is kind of new to the industry and still trying to figure things out, or if you're just thinking about getting into the industry and you want some answers to questions, I created an awesome webpage. It's at styledlistedsold.com/get started. It's literally like,
post that in the chat box?
Yeah, I can.
I thought maybe I saw Felicia posted something with your website earlier.
I posted my blog earlier. Maybe
there you go. So Shauna Lynn's going to grab that for everybody. There you go. God, that was awesome. Quick. Very, very
fast
quick.
Typer.
Awesome. I don't know. I looked at the video link, the video icon, Felicia, and I'm not seeing anything there to be able to turn a video. She says she has it on. I can't see it.
Oh. She says she has it on. Yes. If you go to video.
There it's coming. It's coming.
I can't hear you.
Were you able to see the video?
I was able to see it, yeah.
Did it move like a whole video, or was it just one slide?
Nope, it was moving the whole time.
Oh, mine was just stuck on one slide. I hope it works for everybody else because it was awesome.
Yeah, it was an awesome video. No, that was great. Well done, Felicia.
Okay, it looks like people saw it. Great. I was the only one who missed out on it, but I did see it earlier. That was from Felicia. She is our marketing genius. We could not do RESA without her. So please, everybody, give her a big round of applause for that video. So check us out, 2020.resaconvention.com. Sign up. It's a virtual event. You can go into the live streaming sessions. They're all going to be recorded. You can do the VIP experience and get last year's RESACon sessions plus this year's RESACon sessions, and you can do that live, and you can get them all in the vault, the library, where you can go back and you can watch them at your leisure over the next couple months if that's something that you want to do. We've got an amazing price for RESA members, only $249. So you're saving in travel, you're saving in Ubers and hotel rooms and flights, and the regular RESACon ticket normally starts about $4.99. We are unfortunately very much missing out on the physical interaction with everybody, but the great news is we are going to have on the very first day before our sessions start on July 22nd, we're going to be doing some networking events through Zoom, and our fabulous training providers are going to be hosting those. Shauna Lynn is going to be hosting one as well. So thank you for doing that. So we can pop in so everybody can see each other on video and try to get a little bit of that networking experience that we are going to miss because we are not in person due to COVID-19.
Yes.
Home Staging Industry Awards, I've already covered that. We can vote up until June 8th at noon Pacific time. It is recorded, Cindy. Those will go out. Usually it takes a couple days to be able to get those out. So that will definitely go out and go into our Vimeo. The industry awards as well. We are going to be presenting those during RESACon as well. I don't have the actual time in front of me right this second, but the agenda will go out and everybody will be able to see that. So that's it. Shauna Lynn, goes by so fast, my friend. Thank you.
No, Shel, thank you so much for having me on again. I always love doing these. Great questions, everyone. Thank you to everyone who came out. This was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you guys for sticking with us this evening. Enjoy the rest of your night. And until next time, happy staging and stay safe and healthy.